recap Wednesday night's message with Jeannie Mom Mayo. How are you doing at finding your own Friday Night Lights? So if you want to get out your fill-in, we're going to watch some clips of the movie. Has anybody seen Friday Night Lights? Anybody seen that movie? It's an older movie. A couple of you guys have. We're going to pull excerpts from it, and it may pique your interest, and you may decide that it's something that you want to watch. Since you're not really going to new movies, you could watch an older good movie. So we're looking at some scriptures from the Old Testament. How many of you guys know the difference between the Old Testament and the New Testament? Does anybody know? Which testament should we spend most of our time in? New Testament, that's right. So we can learn a lot from the examples of men and women in the Old Testament, but we have a better covenant. Everyone say better covenant. Better covenant. All right, so let's look at 2 Samuel 23. Pastor Greg is going to read verses 15 through 17 and then verse 20. This is a story of David's mighty men, so his assistants.
Starting in verse 15, and David said with longing, "Oh, that someone would give me a drink of water from the well of Bethlehem, which is by the gate." So the three mighty men, everybody say mighty men. They broke through the camp of the Philistines, drew water from the well of Bethlehem that was by the gate, and took it and brought it to David. Nevertheless, he would not drink it, but poured it out to the Lord. And he said, "Far be it from me, O Lord, that I should do this. Is this not the blood of men who went in jeopardy of their lives?" Therefore, he would not drink it. These things were done by the three mighty men.
Okay, before we read verse 20, I just want to explain something to you really fast. So let's imagine, okay, that this is our hometown. Who was born in Hobbs, America? Let's put our hand. Who was not born in Hobbs? Let's go with that amount first. Okay. So let's imagine, okay, that we as your leaders, which just me, because he wasn't born here. I was born here, okay? And I have since moved on with many of you guys who serve with me, and some enemies have overruled Hobbs, okay? So we're like camped out in Lovington, okay? And I'm reminiscing as your leader about Hobbs, and I'm thinking, oh, that I could have a Starbucks, okay? If I could just have a Starbucks. And a couple of you guys who were the mighty men, there were more of you, but a couple of you guys, they're like, well, we're gonna go get it for it. So you guys risk your lives, you cross enemy lines out of Lovington into Hobbs to get me Starbucks. You bring it back to me. Bring me your Starbucks. I'm not gonna drink it. Okay, you bring it back to me. Like we did it, we nailed it, and I'm freaking out because I'm thinking, I was just saying like, oh, I would be so happy to have that. They risk their life to give me something like this. And so instead of drinking it, David poured it out as an offering for the Lord. And so everybody who's a mighty man is like, no, like we risk our lives so you could have that. What is the point of this story and how does it apply to you? Are you willing to give it all for his cause? I think sometimes you can take this. Amaris, can we give Amaris a big round of applause for having that spontaneous prop? I think sometimes we think, well, Pastors Dean and Kathy and Pastors Greg and Charity and Pastor Faith and the young people that are interns, like they have to give it all. But the reality is Mark 12:30 says that we're all to love God with all of our heart, all of our soul, all of our mind, and all of our strength. So this isn't a call to people who are going to be in the ministry. This is a call to people who have made Jesus the Lord of their life. And if you haven't, we're going to give you the opportunity at the end of service today to make Jesus the Lord of your life. But I want you to turn to your neighbor and say, give your all. Turn to your other neighbor and say, give your all. Right? Now let's look at verse 20.
It says, Benaiah was the son of Jehoiada, the son of a valiant man from Kabzeel, who had done many deeds. He had killed 2 lion-like heroes of Moab. He also had gone down and killed a lion in the midst of a pit on a snowy day.
How many of you guys have been bit by a dog? Anybody been bit by a dog? Yeah.
Crazy little dog, the little crazy kind.
Right, and those guys are small, right? Imagine beating down a lion. Lions are estimated to be about 500 pounds. Many of you guys probably that were bit by a dog, you may even have a scar, right? This guy beat down a 500
on a snowy day. What does that mean? What do you
day.
think of when you think of trying to do something out in the snow? Slippery, right?
Yeah,
Cold. Tense. A lion. Yeah, going inside and drinking hot chocolate.
Yeah,
not
you
slaying
can
a lion.
sink in the snow. It would be harder to have traction. So the point is, look at number 1 and fill it in. Have the courage to not just talk sacrifice, but to live sacrifice as well. You guys have probably heard that phrase. We heard it a lot. Like, you don't want to just talk the talk, you want to walk the walk. So a sacrifice that costs us very little will often accomplish very little. Guys, nobody is keeping track with those athletes that went pro but never had a winning season. Once they're drafted, and maybe if they like went to your high school, you remember them, but are they like, are people keeping up with those guys? No. Now, does Pastor Greg still have stats at his old high school? Yes, because he's awesome, right? All your records haven't been beat, right?
I'm not sure, babe. Let me get that. Hold on one second.
Y'all, I've had lipstick on my teeth all day. And a minute ago, Pastor Greg was
She
like,
was
did you
so
put it
funny.
on your teeth? And I was like, yeah.
I did. Thanks for noticing.
Yeah, I did. I
It
actually
was
put it
so
on my
funny,
teeth.
y'all. It was like so quick-witted.
I was like, no, I got there by accident.
Some of them may still be there, possibly.
Some of the records may still be there. Okay, but do you guys understand that if you only go a little way with God, that's not going to produce a lot of results? Not just in your own life, but in the lives of other people. You're going to have to decide to go all the way. So he refused to drink it because of the weight of their sacrifice. It wasn't a dishonor. He wasn't trying to dishonor what they'd done. They literally risked their life for Starbucks. Kind of. Was more water, but do you know what I'm saying? They risked their lives for that. Guys, your desire and your commitment to go all in with God, no matter what it costs you, it honors him and he will reward that. Okay, let's look at 1 Chronicles 21:24, and then we're going to take a look at this clip.
Then King David said to Ornan, says, no, but I will surely buy it for the full price, for I will not take what is yours for the Lord, nor offer burnt offerings with that which cost me nothing.
Say, cost me nothing.
Cost me nothing.
So I'm not going to fake this. I'm going all the way. I'm giving him everything that I have. Guys, you're going to face opposition. You're going to face obstacles. Many of you, it might be the obstacle of your own home life and things that are going on behind closed doors, just like this football player's dad. Obviously, sometimes even those things manifest themselves beyond our home life and show up in ways like that. But the reality is there's no such thing as a perfect home. There's no such thing as the perfect conditions. The enemy is forever, according to John 10:10, coming to steal, kill, and destroy. So you're going to have to decide, am I willing to keep going and to persevere no matter what kind of resistance I face? This next statement says we often forfeit our destiny because we are too lazy to work in sacrifice. The book of Proverbs is full of instructions for laziness. And if you don't live in a home where you are aggressively disciplined, you've got a schedule, you've got responsibilities, you're a little bit at a disadvantage, but you can decide within, being all that God has called me to be requires that I don't do whatever I feel like whenever I want. If you do have a home where you are disciplined and you have schedules, guys, that's a big deal. Thank your parents and thank God that you were born in a home like that, because that's not them picking on you, that's them helping you, because your race with Jesus, even though he bore it all on the cross, it doesn't mean that you're not going to have to face some resistance and decide to overcome.
What does it mean to forfeit? Quit, give up. Have any of you ever been to a game and not enough players showed up and so you couldn't play? Y'all had to forfeit because they forgot. They thought the game was like at 10, but it was actually at 6 in the morning or something great. So when you forfeit, you lose by default, right?
Yeah.
You literally lose and you don't even get a chance to play.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same way, and that's what this is talking about when it talks about being lazy or working. Is like no matter what, when you forfeit, you always lose. There's no opportunity where you forfeited and so they gave you the win. No, when you forfeit, you always lose. So it's the same way. When you're lazy, when you're unwilling to work for it, you always lose. There's no other alternative. It's not like, what does it mean to get a bye? Anybody know? Like in the brackets, you got to buy this week. What is a bye? Does anybody know?
I don't know.
Y'all don't know what a bye? Matt knows what a bye is. It's like a week off. Like you're going through the bracket and all of a sudden there wasn't enough teams or this team dropped out or something. And so it's like you get a bye, meaning you don't actually play anybody, but you still advance to the winner of the winner of these two. You got a bye this week. So when you get a bye, it's like you win without doing anything. You get to advance without doing anything. But when you forfeit, you automatically lose. And so if you're lazy, you automatically lose. If you're unwilling to work for it, you automatically lose.
Yeah, we made a statement earlier today in Jumpstart, and you guys can write it down for adults. It's not super best language ever. If you're not going to suck, you're going to have to be intentional.
Try to beep it out.
Okay, don't take for granted that you come to church here. Don't take for granted that your parents come to church here. Don't take for granted that you sing on the worship team. That does not mean that you are not sucking at life. Right. That does not mean that you are not being lazy, that you're not going against that still small voice and that conviction. Guys, if you want to accomplish your destiny, then you have to overcome your days. One day at a time, being obedient, doing what I know to do, sacrificing flesh and what I want to do for what is most important. So if the devil can't get you to sin, he'll try to get you to settle. He'll try to get you to settle. Some of you guys have already made and kind of drawn a line in the sand and saying, I'm not going here, I'm not going there, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. But that still doesn't mean you're going all the way with God. Going all the way with God means you don't settle for your plan. You don't settle for good enough. You settle for the very best that you can be, and you don't settle for giving him 80% of your life. You're going all the way. He has every single part.
What does it mean to settle? Compromise. Be okay with it, right? Like when you settle, you're like, you know it could be better, but you're like, that's okay, this is good enough. Yeah. You never want to do that. You never want to be like, it's all right. It's good enough. He's good enough. She's good enough. You understand? You never want to settle in any area of your life. I'm the type of person, like, if it's available, I want it. Yeah. I always want God's very best for my life. Well, that takes work. Yeah. It's the same thing for you guys. The enemy would love to get you to settle and just accept something that's subpar. Don't do it.
Success begins the day we become willing to pay the price.
Hallelujah.
Success begins the day we become willing to pay the price. It's never owned. It's always rented. And rent is due every day. What that means is success isn't this stationary, static thing. Once you achieve it, you can never lose it. It's not that way. Right. We've seen many individuals, people in ministry, friends of ours that achieved a certain element of success and they didn't steward that success. They lost their spouse. They lost their ministry to moral failure, to lying, hiding, whatever. So wherever you are right now, you can't become satisfied. You have to keep pressing. Everyone say, keep pressing. Keep pressing. It's always rented. And rent is due every day. Did you guys get all those? Success begins the day we become willing to pay the price. One step at a time, one day at a time. You begin setting success in motion, though, the moment you've decided to go all the way. And when we close today, we're going to give you the opportunity to decide on July 12th, 2020, I'm going all the way. God, it's literally going to be your 100% moment. I'm giving you my all. You've got to make that decision, and then you can defend that decision day after day after day. What about when you switch schools and you re-enroll in another school? That's the school you go to now. today, before we leave, we're going to give you the opportunity to switch schools, so to speak. The school of doing the bare minimum, the school of doing the least that I can do without my mom spanking me every single day, to the school of I'm giving him my all every single day. So big obstacle, right? Big obstacle in the way. And we're going to have to decide. And really, again, we're going to give you that opportunity at the end today. We're going to pray with you and pray over you. For those of you that are going to decide today, like, I'm going all the way, like 100%. But that does not insulate you against criticism, other people. And really, what you're doing in going all the way, and we're looking at it, we're comparing it to that lion.
So number 2 is go chase your own lion. So I want to read 2 Samuel. We read it earlier, but I want to read it real quickly from the New Living Translation. This is talking about go chase your own lion. Not something we normally picture ourselves doing, but in the New Living it says it this way. It says, there was also Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, a valiant warrior. And it says, he did many heroic deeds, which included killing 2 champions of Moab. Another time on a snowy day, he chased a lion down into a pit and killed it. So even before, it's like, okay, why would you jump into a pit, with a lion? But then this kind of implies like he's literally chasing this lion down, and the time that he finally caught up to the lion is down in a pit. So it's like there are lions in your life, things, and that's what it is. It's a God-sized dream, something that seems like too big to do. Well, you chase it down knowing that God, his grace is sufficient, knowing that you can do all things through Christ, knowing that the things he calls you to do are going to be bigger than what you can do in and of your natural self. So that 500-pound lion represents the God-sized dream, like Pastor Greg just said, that you need to chase down. And we want you to decide at an early age that dream is going to be his dream. Yeah. Because what happens when things like this happen and your whole world falls apart? If your dream is not anchored in his plan and in his love, then when those things change, it's like your whole world comes crashing down. And when things went crashing down, so to speak, in our nation and in our school, do you know that like heaven didn't miss a beat? That nobody in heaven like stood at attention like, oh my gosh, it hit. And Gabriel's like, what? COVID. And he was like, oh wow. Whoa. Like that didn't happen. They just kept on spinning. You have dual citizenship. Do you guys know what that means? That means you live here, but you are also a citizen of heaven. So you overrule what's going on here for what's going on there. Does that make sense? So ultimately, like his kingdom doesn't ever fail. It doesn't fall apart. So I want to build my life around his kingdom. So whatever your dreams, your 500-pound lion in life, is it anchored in a value system that will last? You guys already dreaming a little bit, thinking about some things that you would like to see or do or be in your future? It all has to come from a place of being 100% sold out to him. Because if it's not, how do we say, if you didn't get it from him, it's not for him? You can't say, okay, God, this is my plan. I'm giving it to you. He's going to be like, denied. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't work that way. Next one, it can go away fast, so make sure it will last.
So as it pertains to this lion, which is God's plan, his purpose for your life, which starts right now with giving 100%, you run after it, you don't run away from it. Guys, you might be new to church. You don't understand all these scriptures. You don't understand all these stories. That's not a good time to quit. That's a good time to keep going. You may be walking away from a bunch of habits and a bunch of friendships that are not godly, and so it may seem lonely at times. That's not a good time to throw in the towel. That's not a good time to be like, see, this is too much work. My mom's always mad at me, or the famous line like, I don't get to do anything. We don't get to do anything.
Have any of you ever felt that way before?
Yeah. Like for me, and these are the lines. Like some of these is like whenever you pray and you're like, Lord, do we want to have kids? Should we have kids? You think about that line right there and you're like, no. I'm not having that dialogue with a 12-year-old that's screaming about not getting to go to a friend's house who I don't know. When I birthed you, I paid for you. I'm still paying for you. And you're going to throw attitude with me? No. No. me and my Frenchie all day. I'm not playing that game. And I'm encouraging y'all. What we don't get to do. What do you want to do? You want to be addicted to drugs? Is that what you want? You want to lose your virginity and have heartache? Is that what you want? I mean, I'm just saying, like, you have to really like ask yourself. You want to listen to demonically spirited music that talks about a bunch of nonsense? You want to be out of the will of God? You want to get in a car accident and die like my friend in 7th grade and his friend in sophomore year? Is that what you want? I'm not being ugly. I'm just saying. I don't get to do anything. My mom is out. Dry that up.
Dry it up.
Some of God's biggest, go ahead.
Opportunities for you are often disguised as some of life's toughest challenges. Doesn't mean God's going to put this big challenge in front of you to see how you do, but as you
They're
go through
already
life,
here.
the challenges are going to be there. But God has put on the inside of you the ability to be an overcomer. So that means you've got what it takes. That's really as simple as
Y'all,
it is.
when we bought this building, let me just give you a little sampling of some challenges. First electrician, they tell him, I don't know, I don't understand. What happened, the IRS something?
They had a few challenges. By challenges, I mean I got a phone call from a company and they said, we're no longer giving your electricians any more wire. And I said, well, how come? And they said, because they owe us $66,000. And so they were talking like they were going to put a lien on the building. And I said, well, we write them a check all the time. Like we pay all of our bills. We're good people. He's like, that's because I have a lien release every time I write a check. He said, well, that's just a piece of paper. And so we're like, in Jesus' name, believe in God to overcome this. Then we get mail from the IRS that says, oh, by the way, your electrician owes us $500,000 in payroll taxes. Like why they sent us a letter and told us that, I don't know. But it was only a matter of days, and literally the IRS, like the guys in the suits, like here come the men in black, like literally the men in black, they came.
The men in black.
And they said, hey, everybody come on up front here to their business. And they ushered everybody right outside the front door, like no cell phones left, no paperwork left, no company vehicles left. Literally everybody, boom, their job was gone.
Yeah.
The IRS locked the doors, seized all of their assets.
We have a couple ladders.
We have a ladder that says their name on there. I'm like, that's $1 million ladder right there. It's a really good ladder.
Okay, so get the newspaper, right? And under the arrests, like, boom, there's our plumber.
I thought it was like front page, like his picture or something. No? Anyway, we saw our plumber was in the newspaper.
He got arrested.
He got arrested. So we're like, well, I guess he won't be coming today because he's in jail.
That's not the worst of it, y'all. So you know those things that are in the ceiling that are like the Wi-Fi centers for our network capability? Okay, so they're all over the building.
Access points everywhere.
Access points. Tell them about what happened to the first set of access points we bought.
Okay, so we found this guy and we met with him and we really had a peace. We're like, this guy's a trustworthy guy. He did business.
And he was.
He did business for some different banks around town here. It's like, you know what? This guy's just good at technology. He's not going to be like doing things shady or snooping around in the church business or anything like that. Like he's just going to do his job. He's going to do the technology. So we ordered some equipment from him, gateways, firewalls, access points, all the stuff that we need for this elaborate, amazing network. We come to find out he went on a whitewater rafting trip on vacation and he died. So we had bought all of our equipment, but we didn't get our equipment.
Dies, y'all. Dies.
Dead. To the death.
He dies in a whitewater rafting accident. Like, in what world does that even happen? So.
Have you guys ever heard that phrase, don't you go dying on me now? That's the way I felt after that.
So bad news is all of the equipment that we had bought was in his apartment.
The bad news is he's dead. But also, the other bad news.
The other bad news.
The other bad news was that we didn't get the equipment that we bought.
Right. Because his girlfriend sold it all.
She did. Yeah.
So we literally had to pay for that stuff twice. And it wasn't just our stuff, it was a bunch of other stuff. So there's like so many legalities and court cases pending. We got some of it, like we got a little bit of it. I can't remember who the guy was, but like somehow we got in touch with the guy that knew like where some of it was. I don't know if it was an angel or if it was like a real guy, but he did bring us some of it. We didn't get all of it. Right. So what we're saying is you're going to face challenges. You're going to face challenges. Now, we could have given up and quit and said, you know what? This must not be God's wills for us to be in that building. It's just too hard. You're going to face stuff on a different scale, and you just keep going.
Do you know that wasn't God? Like, God didn't kill our network guy?
Yeah, that's right.
He wasn't like, let's see how they do with this challenge, Jesus.
Right. God doesn't do that. So letter A, destiny is not a big mystery. It's usually a decision. And you're going to make that decision in just a moment. And then you'll have to defend it. You've only got one crack at playing under your own Friday night lights down here on earth. All right, so not a happy ending. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, they didn't win. They got defeated. Turn to your neighbor and say, I'm going to win. My story's not going down like that. That's right. Your story isn't. But here's the thing. You remember if you were here on Wednesday, pretty soon your name plaque will no longer be in play. It will be dropped into eternity. Right. Like, you guys gave your all, but listen, next. There's a new group of guys coming in next. Right. Okay? So you need to know that about your own life, that you only have so much time here. There's no reason to hold back from giving him your all. Just like they laid it all out there and it wasn't enough, you in Christ Jesus can be enough, okay? Make sure you like what your name plaque stood for.
So good.
What would people say your plaque stands for right now? Right? What would people say your plaque stands for right now? Being all in for God, being an athlete, being the funny one, being the casual one, being the cute one. What would people say your plaque stood for right now? The game we walk into right outside these doors isn't pregame warm-up. Like, this is it. This is not the pregame. And I think you might be thinking, well, I'm just in middle school. Nope. This is the life that you have. And so your life starts right now. Not when you're in high school, not when you graduate college, not when you get married. Your life starts right now. We're in the championship round and the clock is ticking.